Welcome, welcome. Where's my little sticker? Let me get my sticker real quick. All right. Hey, welcome in, welcome in. We're going to get started momentarily. Welcome in. Happy Sunday, guys. Happy Sunday. I hope everyone is doing fantastic. If you guys can do me a favor, if you are in the chat and you want to help out, go ahead and share the live with at least 15 friends. That's the max. So if we can share the live with 15 friends, that'll be amazing. Hey, Rab. What's up, Tawanda? Welcome in. Kathy. Welcome in. Got my Talk Bari To Me sticker. Gonna go cover the viewership because we are rocking and rolling tonight. Y'all like what my shirt says? It says, I am not responsible for what my face does when you talk. I thought that shirt was hysterical. I got it from the TikTok shop. If you guys like smart ass shirts, go ahead and grab it off the TikTok shop. Hey. We're going to be jumping into a really good conversation momentarily. I'm going to go through some announcements, but before we do all of that and before we bring tonight's amazing guest up, I need you guys to share the live with at least 15 friends. Let's go ahead and share the live and tap that screen. We got a lot to cover tonight. I actually have notes because I usually am like, I usually freestyle some questions, which I still do. I'm still planning to do. But there are some things that I'm curious about for myself. So if you do have questions that you want to ask throughout the evening, my mods are in the chat. They will put a little alert for me, and I hate that I have to say it this way because I will attempt to get to every single question. However, because I know this is such a hot topic, I do apologize in advance if I don't get to every single question that comes up. I will do my very best to get through the questions, and some of your questions may get answered in the conversation. So just hang out with us, share the live, and we're going to get rocking and rolling in just a moment. Let me go through the announcements real quick. Once we go through the announcements and you guys have shared the live, then we can go ahead and bring our guest up who is already in the building. So thank you for that. So as you know, Talk Bari To Me is live every Sunday. That is at 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central, 6 p.m. Mountain, and 5 p.m. Pacific time. We also have a live that I host on Mondays called the Talk Bari To Me Coaching Corner. That is at Monday, 12 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Central, 10 a.m. Mountain, and 9 a.m. Pacific time. And we just chit chat a little bit, get our minds right to start the week. We used to do a little bit of mindset and movement, and with all of everyone's crazy schedule, we kind of just transitioned to the mindset piece. So we're going to get back to the movement soon. No worries. Hey, thank you. Thank you so much for the gifts, guys. Keep tapping that screen. Let's continue to share the live. Then we have Berry Meal Experience every Taco Tuesday. That is at 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central, 6 p.m. Mountain, and 5 p.m. Pacific time. On Wednesdays get split amongst two different shows. So Wednesday we have Berry Mother, who I love dearly. She got her water check Wednesday. That is at 7:15 p.m. Eastern, 6:15 p.m. Central, 5:15 p.m. Mountain, and 4:15 p.m. Pacific time. In addition to Berry Mother, we also have got the waiting table. What's up, Tony? Welcome in. The waiting table is live, 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central, 7 p.m. Mountain, and 6 p.m. Pacific time. Shout out to any new berries in the building. If you are either a new berry, pre-op, post-op, and you are new in the space, welcome. Shout out to my GLP-1 friends as well. If you guys are about to have surgery and want us to show you support, drop it in the chat. We love to support each other. There are a lot of great people in the chat who would love to connect with you. What's up, Kia? Welcome. Thursday, we've got Mel Unfiltered. So, Mel from our Sleeve Life podcast, make sure you check her out. That is on Thursdays, 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central, 7 p.m. Mountain, and 6 p.m. Pacific time. Shout out to, I saw someone said, is it Strybe or Straby? I'm sorry if I'm saying that wrong, friend. 4 weeks post-op. Congratulations, friend. If you have any questions throughout the night, we have a really, really good guest who and folks in the chat. Folks in the chat are always answering questions. So if you have questions, definitely ask those questions. Friday, we have the Friday Night Live FNL with Drew and Arisa that will be returning in August. So that is every Friday at 10 p.m. Eastern, 9 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Mountain, and 7 p.m. Pacific time. So August 1st just so happens to be when they're back in business. So make sure you check them out. Make sure you're taking your vitamins. If you haven't gotten your vitamins, ProCare has a really, really wide variety of supplements. So check them out. Code VSG Bestie will save you a couple dollars. And I always want to look out, friends, because we got to save our coins. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Keep sharing the live. Keep tapping that screen. We're going to bring up the guests because I have a lot of questions. And I know this hour goes by really, really fast. So let me know in the chat if you guys are ready. After you've shared the live, drop some emojis in the chat. Let me know you're ready for the guest. Let me know you're ready. Hello, everybody. I love that. Hello, everybody in the chat. I love that emoji. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Hey, Amber. Welcome in. We got Amber in the building. We got Tony in the building. We got Kia in the building. We got Arisa in the building. We got Vicky in the building. We got user 293337936. Sorry, I couldn't get the whole thing. What's up, Love After Bariatrics? Welcome in. We got a lot of friends in the building tonight. Nikki Brown, welcome in. So we're dropping a lot of emojis. So I'm just going to assume that we are ready for tonight's guest. Hey, Nikki. All right. So tonight's guest is awesome. First and foremost, not just because she has great hair, but because she, by definition, is literally a disruptor. She's fierce, she's unapologetic, and she does a lot of work behind the scenes outside of what she does on her social media space. She's a recovering food addict. She did have alcohol. She was considered an alcoholic. And she's a bariatric patient. And of course, she is the powerhouse behind the Bariatric Rewrite. So if you haven't heard of her, more than likely you'll hear about her tonight, and make sure you connect with her and all that she's got going on. She has the High Accountability Coaching Program that's helped thousands of post-op patients finally get their stuff together. We're trying to get our shit together here, okay? Myself included. So I couldn't wait for this. She is a boss, 100%. 100%. So without further ado, we're going to bring up Coach Shenelle. Are you there? She is. Let me bring her up. Boom. And guys, make sure you tap the rest of the night. I need y'all tapping like your life depends on it.
Hello.
Yes, hello, friend. How are you?
Good. Thank you for that intro. I was like, oh shit, who's she talking about?
Right? Well, when you put it on paper, that shit's impressive.
I know. I liked your alcohol substance abuse. I was like, no, I was a fall down drunk, my friend.
So I say alcohol because you know what, and I'll jump right into that because sometimes there's some words that are like, for some people tonight, trigger warning, we're going to talk about addiction, we're going to talk about alcoholism, we're going to talk about a lot of things that may be touchy topics. I should have said that at the beginning, but I'm saying it now. I promise you're going to learn something in the end, but I always like to say that just in case. But yes, alcoholism, that's so prominent. I like to say post-op, but you were already dealing with it. Was it pre-op or post-op?
Yeah. So I got sober from alcohol on December 27th of 2020. My surgery was April 4th of 2022. So I haven't had any alcohol after my surgery. I've definitely encountered a lot of people who pick up this habit afterwards. It's complicated in that we metabolize sugar different after surgery, but also if you're an addict, there's that what they call transfer addiction, where it kind of goes from one thing to another. And I see it in AA. I'm an active woman of recovery in Alcoholics Anonymous, and I see people get sober. And I see them gain weight, right? So one for the other. It's very prominent. Even in our big book of AA, it talks about like to always have chocolate around for the newcomer so that they have something to like, still like get a little bit of a dopamine hit through as they're detoxing. So it's prominent there too, to see it flip the other way, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So before we even get into your journey with weight loss and all that you've done after, who was Shenelle before the coaching? Who was Shenelle before all of this? Like, tell me a little bit about you.
Yeah, so the backstory about me is I'm from the Midwest. Grew up in the music industry. My parents were musicians, so I had a pretty interesting life growing up. Left the United States when I was 18, screwed around in England, picked up a drinking problem, eventually moved to Vegas, picked up a drug problem, had a kid. I had a regular normal job. Like I'm a relatively normal person, always was. My drinking really derailed, and it was a big part of my identity. Growing up, not only from the Midwest, but in the music industry, and I'm third generation Irish. So alcohol was like my identity, like in my DNA, it felt like, right? And then when I lived in Vegas, it's Vegas. It was just like all of these things going on. And having weight loss surgery, was not on my agenda. I was so on I grew up on Tess Holiday. Like I was so like, this is who I am and I'm not going to change, because I had tried changing so many times and nothing stuck. Like the amount of times I did Nutrisystem, that was when I always went back to the nipple of Nutrisystem. I don't know why, but that was the one.
I think we all go back down on Nutrisystem, just like, what the?
Yeah. I would buy those little meals and like, I would do good for like 3 days, and then I would drink, and then I'd be hungover, and last thing I want to do is that. So it never lasted for me. But I got sober, and when I got sober, it was on the heels of like me really, really screwing my life up. I lost my house. It went into foreclosure. I had a business for a long time that I owned. It went under during COVID, right before COVID. And 2019 was probably where my life started to change. And I'm really open about this story, so I'll just, I'm going to say some things that might not always sit really well with people. But I got into a relationship with somebody in the summer of 2019, found out I was pregnant in December. I didn't want to get sober, and I decided to have an abortion. And I was like, I never stayed sober long enough. Like, I wasn't sober from the moment I found out to the weeks leading up to it. I was a daily drinker at that point. And I did it, and I was full of so much shame and regret within minutes of like making this choice. When I came home, I decided to just double down on my drinking until the wheels came off. Like and I had a son. I had a 3-year-old at the time, so I knew exactly what I did. And so I just was like, you know what? We're just going to drink and drink and drink. And everything fell apart, except I just kept waking up every night. And everything just kept falling apart. Finally, December 27th, I was just tired of my own shit. Enough was enough. And I decided that I was going to quit drinking for just 1 year. Just 1 year. That's all I needed, just to work through a couple of things, go to a little therapy, like maybe lose a couple of pounds. I was like, I'll do the hard 75 for the whole year. Just like this nut house stuff that I would always sell myself on. And I was sober from drinking, but not from drugs. I tried on so many identities, dude. I tried doing cocaine sober, not fun. Like, I do not know how people do math. I have got to do, like, those combined, drinking and coke have to go together. I cannot be just doing one. I tried getting into weed. I thought they have cute accessories, sold, yeah.
Cute accessories, I'm in it.
I had this little, like, ice cream silicone thing, and I never liked being high on weed either. Like, I don't know what I was doing. And I did that for about a year, and then it had been a year since I drank. But during that process, around 7 months into my sobriety, I went to a doctor's appointment because I had one of those doctor's appointments where they said, how much do you drink? And I said, not often. And, there was obviously a question to come after that. There was concern about some stuff on my liver. And I finally worked up the courage to make a doctor's appointment, have my liver looked at, to see what damage I had done. And I was about 300 pounds at the time. Yeah. And I went into this appointment. My liver was fine. And this woman was like, have you considered losing any weight? And I'm like, we are not here for that subject today, my friend. Like, I don't know. Yeah, like, And she was like, well, if you've been sober for 7 months, not knowing I was actively doing other drugs, just from alcohol. She goes, and you might be good at this. And she handed me a referral for weight loss surgery. I had a boyfriend at the time who I fought with all the time. We were so toxic together. And I called him and I said, what if I do it? And he goes, absolutely not. And I said, all right, I'm going to do it. I said, fuck yeah, I'm going to do it then. And I started what was a year-long process with my insurance company, you know. And then in December of that year, I was a whole year of not drinking. I finally went to my first AA meeting. When I went into that meeting, they asked me to share how I've been sober for a whole year. And they gave me a little chip and everything. I didn't know how any of this was going to go. And I was like, well, I'm just here for like some friends, maybe, you know, I haven't drank in a year. And this woman came up afterwards and asked me how it'd been to be sober for my own misery for the last year. And she became my sponsor. And I also learned that you couldn't be in AA doing cocaine and weed. So I had to give back my 1 year chip and start over. So next month, August of 28th, will be 4 years of pure sobriety for me. So yeah, that's a small version of that story. But yeah, so that started my weight loss process then, going through that and through AA. And I had my surgery 4 months into being active in Alcoholics Anonymous. And yeah, I didn't intend on any of this to happen or to be where I am today when I had this surgery. It was.
Isn't that shit crazy? Like, you go in for the purpose of like improving your health, not knowing all these other things would follow. Now, let me ask you, because now you have this surgery, right? Did you go in like super informed? Did you just kind of like, fuck it, YOLO? Or was it like something that, I know you said you kind of decided in that moment, but how did you like feel going in? And what was it immediately after the surgery for you? Where were
So going in, my nutrition classes were like the same shit I learned about my genitals in middle school. Like, it was the same stuff slammed in that class, right? Like, it wasn't anything I didn't fucking know. Like, here's the food pyramid and there's your vagina. Like, yeah, okay. It was the same stuff.
right.
You know, me and the people I work with, it is not our lack of education that got here. That has never been the problem. We are expert dieters. But if we want to lose 50 pounds, we can do it. Keeping it off is where the struggle ends up. But, you know, I didn't learn anything different, you know, at all. And it wasn't until I got my surgery date and they were like, your surgery's in 2.5 weeks. You don't need to do a pre-op diet. Your BMI is not that bad. I think it was around 270 or something at that point. And I thought, okay, cool. I got off the hook of that. And as soon as I left the center, I drove to Taco Bell. And I sat there and I was like, this is not normal. What is going on? And I called my sponsor. She said, call the nutritionist. And I emailed them and said, I would like to do the pre-op diet because I'm just going to screw this up. I'm going to food funeral this whole next 2.5 weeks, dude, you know? And she was like, well, you really don't need to. I'm like, I'm emailing you from the parking lot of Taco Bell. Like, I just left your office, okay? Like, I got to do something. And she's like, well, here's the pre-op diet. Have fun. So I jumped right into it and did it. So after the surgery, though, I woke up and, actually, I had the blessing of sharing a room pre-surgery, right? Like those hours leading up. There were 7 of us had surgery that morning. I was number 7. So I was in this room with this other woman who fucked off the whole time, who had like done everything under the sun, like had a tummy tuck, had done the lap band, and was like, this is it. And she was telling me all these like things that she'd been up to. And I was like, man, you might be good at this shit, because that's like not the direction I want to go. But I woke up, surgery was super easy to recover from. Thought about food differently right there at the beginning. You just don't feel that desire necessarily, you know, to eat anything, and it's kind of weird and bland. I did the regular protocol. I followed my instruction manual, which, you know, varies per person and per center, but, you know, there wasn't really anything to report. It wasn't until 6 months post-op that things started to get a little weird for me. And that's when I started to crave a lot of things. And it was worrisome because I was following my directions on my sheet of paper. I was eating the things I was told. Well, I was like, this is a mofo. But I tried.
The munchy gremlin demon that jumps in your brain was like activated.
Where I thought I wasn't going to feel this again. I thought, this is gone forever, you know? And I tracked all my food religiously. And that's where I started to find the problems. I picked up, and I started with the goddamn water sweeteners, man. It was that. Every time I drank it, a half an hour later, I was hungry. And I thought, that's weird. So I got interested. I actually picked up some books. I read A Pound of Cure by Dr. Weiner, the bariatric surgeon out of Tucson. And I was like, I don't know. For some reason, all of a sudden curious about obesity. I was never really given a shit about it. Like, I've been overweight my whole life. No one's explained it to me, right? No one has said, like, you know, thoroughly asked me about my eating habits other than the one sheeter you might get from a primary, right? And I thought, this is peculiar. I've never been interested in why I'm overweight. Like the few times I've had an STD scare, I've known everything about it on the internet. Like I have read everything. Like I could diagnose it visually by the time I'm done. But this didn't care. Didn't faze me. And then I just became like passionate to learn everything I could about it.
Let
And
me ask you this, because you said you didn't care. You also said that you were kind of already comfortable in your pre-op body. Do you feel like you were honest with yourself in that moment with your level of comfortability, that you felt super confident? Because I was one of those people that Delulu was the Salulu for me. You
yeah.
couldn't tell me I was not skinny at like 300, close to 400 pounds. I was like that girl, right? But like, where the fuck does that come from, first off? Like, where we convince ourselves that we're like 100% okay with it? Because I think, like, as I lost the weight, I realized that I really wasn't.
I think we put blinders on. I think social media allows us to curate the way we want to see ourselves to the point that we believe it. A lot of people lose like 50 pounds like right after surgery and can't see it. And I'm like, because you're finally matching the fucking angle of the camera. That's why. Like, that's why you don't see it, you know? Like, I think about Snapchat filters and like the ears, and I think now everyone has to like AI visualize themselves because they can't stand to look at their own face. You know,
Right.
like that's why, because we don't see like when if you were to see me in person, you see me in person, like what you see isn't even what I see in the mirror because of the way the reflections come around, right? And so I think we lie to ourselves, you know, because that's easier than what is the next option, which is changing everything about you, and that is not easy.
Yeah. I don't think that shit is hard. That shit is hard, but it's not impossible, right?
No,
Uh,
not at all. I mean, I look at myself and I'm like, I think I have like my before picture jammed up here somewhere, and I'm like, how, where, when, like how, you know, my partner, he only knows this person that you're talking to, right? So he's like, you know, how did like where, you know, and I couldn't tell you how that, you know, how I got comfortable with it. I think society does a good job of like you know, I think we're seeing some difference with GLP-1s and people's more access to obesity medications and cures today, that people are shifting that idea of what is considered acceptance. Acceptance goes
yeah.
many ways, right?
Right.
Accepting your body is important, right? But accepting like continuously making horrible choices, you know, is that something you can accept? You know,
Right.
yeah.
I do
So
have a question in the chat for you. Someone said, "Did you gain after getting clean?"
clean, yeah. So with the amount of cocaine I did, you would have thought I'd lose weight, dude. I was like the Chris Farley of cocaine users. Like I kept putting on weight fucking using coke. So when I came off of it, I didn't lose any weight. Like I'd been around to 275, 300 for a decade. Nothing changed when I quit. But it's hard for me to answer because I wasn't like on the scale. Like I wasn't like trying to dial that in. My blinders were also not getting on the scale. You know, I just didn't want to see that number either. I couldn't say if I did, but I see it very, very often. People,
Yeah.
especially it depends on what we're using, substance wise as well, right? But I've definitely seen people in the program gain after getting sober, very frequently.
Yeah. So yeah, hopefully that answers your question. I know that right now it's pretty trendy with the GLP-1s. Any feelings come up for you? I'm like a therapist. Do
Oh,
any
sure.
feelings come up for
I've
you?
definitely got some feelings on it. I think they've been around for a lot longer than people give them credit for. It's not like it just plopped out of the middle of nowhere. It's been around for a while. I think the first like public introduction was 2008 with Trulicity, and so they've been around for a long time. Now, I think that they're really good for people preparing for surgery because you can get some weight off, which I think makes you a healthier candidate for bariatric surgery. When we were at ASMBS a few weeks ago, this was a really common subject. And they find that people on these meds prior to surgery are better bariatric candidates at the long haul. I think the negative backlash that we see is on people who need to lose 20 pounds taking these things. Most common thing I see in my clientele, though, which is really what I can only speak to, is the person eating like trash and going on a GLP-1. Because people don't. I also think people don't understand how it works. It slows down the digestion inside the stomach. And so if you're eating crappy food, like I'll just walk you through like an example. Like 2 years post-op, you start the morning off with the protein shake. Lunch, you're going to go to Chick-fil-A and have the grilled chicken nuggets. And you're going to have a protein bar in the afternoon. And maybe for dinner, you're actually going to cook some real food. That sort of diet, and you're on a GLP-1, there's so much lack of nutrition there that should be addressed before all of a sudden the desire to not eat is addressed, right?
Yeah.
If you eat these crappy foods, and they're not designed to sit in the stomach very long, this is why before our surgeries, if we had, Taco Bell, I could put down a ton of it and still be hungry an hour later. It's just that kind of food. If I would have actually made that same sort of stuff at home from scratch, I couldn't have eaten nearly the same volume, right? So think about these foods that pass through the digestive system really fast. Now think about having it sit in there. Like, it shouldn't. It's not comfortable. So where the constipation and the bloating and all those fun things happen. So I think that you got to look at the diet first because they're also expensive.
Yeah.
I remember we had Dr. Weiner over on our community, and he was like, when it comes to losing 20 pounds, you got to ask yourself if you're willing to pay $300 a month for the rest of your life for that.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So I will always tell people, look at the food first, because a lot of our clientele is eating pretty horribly. About 60% have regained their weight after weight loss surgery, and that's why they find us. Their diet's always the same. It's just the one I just described to you.
Yeah.
And they think they're staying in this really great calorie range, but their food noise is so loud that by the time the night comes around, they're in the pantry just going to town on anything that they can get their hands on. So when we shifted to eating real foods, and my definition of real foods, we use the Nova Food Classification System, which is basically, real foods. It's funny to have to define it, but something that doesn't have ingredients that you would have, stuff that you can get the ingredients in the grocery store if you needed to make it, right? We have them switch that, and immediately the first thing that happens, well, they lose weight, but also they get full quicker, way quicker. And then they actually come in lower on calories, and we have to work back up, right? But that's so normal to see. It's just like, it's crazy what just real food will do for you versus taken down.
So let me be a little bit of a devil's advocate here. So you're gonna be like, bitch, what are you doing? But I'm a Profi girl, and I know that's like, I know you've probably gotten some backlash because you say what you mean and you mean what you say, and I love that and I respect that, and I don't yuck anybody's yum. But what are your, like, I know you mentioned some stuff about I think it was Premier. I wasn't too sure. What are your thoughts on the Profis? Because I know that some people really swear by them. And guys, please don't chew her up. And look,
I don't care. I've heard
I'm
it
gonna
all.
drink the Profi.
I've heard it all at this point. So I think that some people don't like coffee, and so this is a way to flavor it, right? That type of protein, whey protein, breaks down in the body differently than animal protein. Whey protein is a substance it's a film on top of cheese that is dried off and flavored. And so that's all it is. It's ultra processed. Like, you couldn't make it, I couldn't make it. You know what I mean? It's back in the day, if someone got in the health and fitness industry and they were like, how can we sell you some products? They can only sell you one fucking treadmill, dude. They can only sell you one thing of weight lift. But protein, we can sell all day and flavor it in a million goddamn ways, and people will buy it left and right. And we've seen diet shifts in our life alone. Like, I'm 41, so back in the 90s, everything was low fat. And then for the last 10, 15 years, it's been keto, and now everything has this excessive amount of unnecessary protein in places you would normally never find it. And so I'm sure fiber will make some crazy comeback here soon if we're just going through a list of macro and micronutrients here that we can advertise to people. They're really good after surgery because that's the only way you can take stuff in, right? And then we get on the nipple of it to the tune of being like, it's impossible to live my life without it. And I don't think it's the best protein source for their post-op because it doesn't cue the cephalic phase of chewing, which is something your body needs to start naturally signaling to want to eat. And when you drink it a lot, and everyone's different. Some people have it a splash of it in their coffee, and then there are some people who it's everything all day long. And just look at it from the ingredients list. I dog on Premier Protein all the time. This, first off, it's made by the same fuckers who make Fruity Pebbles. So, you get to sell that
Is
shit.
it? I didn't know that.
It's made by a sub-brand of Post Holdings, which is the people who make Fruity Pebbles. Fairlife, Coca-Cola owns them. Muscle Milk, Pepsi owns them. Nestle owned Jenny Craig for a very long time. Heinz Kraft owned Weight Watchers for a very long time. So, to me, it's they get to be the drug dealer in the rehab center, which I find to be an oxymoron. The powders are always going to be a better option because we don't have the industrial seed oils in there. And the industrial seed oils are high in omega-6s, and naturally we don't get a lot of good omega-3s, which are going to come through like salmon, for example. You're drinking that shit all day long. You have too many like pro-inflammatories in your body. And so when I have people eat clean, they see the scale move, and a lot of it's just the inflammation from eating that all the time. And that's it. So like industrial seed oils, like sunflower oil, canola oil, things of that nature. So
you even said something about like, because I think a lot of people growing up, I also grew up in the 90s, and anything that said diet or low fat, I'm like, I'm on it. And I was a kid. Like I was the kid who fell for the hydroxy cut era. And literally like heart racing, and I'm like, I'm a child, I should not be having a heart attack. Like, what are your thoughts on like packaging, and what degree of responsibility do we have to look beyond what we're seeing on these packages?
Yeah, I mean, anything that has to come in to tell you how great it is, I already question, because like
red flag.
Broccoli doesn't have to tell me it's a great source of fiber. You know, at the store, the chicken's not like, come here and get your 20 grams of protein in today. You know, automatically, I assume there's some fuckery when it has to tell you what it's doing on the labeling. So it took a long time though for me to think this way. Because when I first came on social media, I had a lot of these products. I had questions. I fucking lived in bread, like, of course I want to have potato chips after my birthday. Of course I want to have candy bars with protein in them after my surgery. It took a long time for me to get rid of it because I just didn't realize how much it was causing me to crave other foods, you know? And so I had to learn it the hard way. And a lot of people I work with learned it the hard way. You know, when we talk about what's in their diet now, it looks like TikTok shops just exploded in their fucking pantry, right? Because we all want a quick fix. We really do. Like instant gratification is something that I think a lot of addicts struggle with. And I'm sure you did this too before your surgery, where I'm gonna, you know, today's Sunday, so I'll have whatever I want for dinner because tomorrow I'm gonna change. Tomorrow I'm gonna be a totally new woman. Like I'm gonna wake up brand new. And just that thought made me feel good right now, and then I'll go do whatever I want to do. You know,
and I did that last week.
Exactly, and I still wake up as the same motherfucker. Like nothing happened. Nothing overnight. You know,
right?
Yeah. So it took me a long time. There's some books I've read that I just graduated 3 days ago from FX Nutrition. I've been studying as a functional nutrition counselor for the last year, which is like one of the most challenging things I've ever done for somebody who's a film student dropout. And during that process, I just learned so much about how we digest food and how wild it is that we go to these great lengths to have a procedure like this. And then we are marketed from the same companies who got us here. Like we are used and abused over and over again for someone on a yacht right now. You know, and that's, you know, not talked about. You know, we are the health and fitness industry market. Like we are their slaves. You know,
for real. I mean, I think that right now one of the realizations I'm having is like, fuck, I've been set up for failure since the very beginning. Thinking about, I went through the public school system. A lot of the foods that were served were not the healthiest.
Right.
I also lived in a neighborhood where it was a food desert. Like it just, whatever was at the local corner store, bodega, like that's just what we ate.
Yeah.
So like, how hard was it for you or maybe some of your clients to undo that like norm, right? Because I grew up eating rice and beans and a spaghetti along with it. Like that was cultural for me.
Exactly.
How do you work with your clients to kind of break those patterns?
Acceptance.
Okay.
That's just this is the problem that we have, and we have to just start cooking, and we have to go out of way. Like if we had stomach cancer, none of us would be sitting here talking about this shit, right? But the likelihood of us dying from stomach cancer is not very high compared to obesity, right? It is the number one like preventative disease that people die from is obesity, you know? So once you can accept that you just, I always take Shenelle out of the fucking, take me out of the picture for a second. I just don't metabolize it correctly. That's it. It is not a matter of I deserve it. It's a reward. I work so hard. Everybody else does it. I just don't metabolize it. My blood sugar goes up. I gain weight, and I obsessively think about eating more on certain things. I just can't. It's like anybody with an allergy, you know. And I've met people who have like weird allergies and will still do it, and then deal with the consequence later. Same thing, you know. But we just today, if you have to go through having the surgery, I wish that some of these centers did more to prep you for life. And I've come to realize over this last year working with some surgeons that it's out of their wheelhouse, man. You can't go to the mechanic and expect him to call you in 6 months and ask you how your car is doing. It's just not in his wheelhouse. He's not paid to do it. The amount that they're paid for surgeries is laughable for 12 years of schoolwork like that. The insurance companies are a nightmare. I had a surgeon at ASMBS say that they make in his state $900 to do the sleeve on Medicare. And that is nothing. Wow. That is nothing, right? So, you know, I wish they could spend more time, but Western medicine is not set up to have these long, thorough conversations with you or to hear your story.
No, it's not. Thank you guys for tapping that screen and sharing the live. If you haven't had a chance to take your sip of water or just stay hydrated, make sure you do so now. Take your vitamins. And while we're here, make sure you follow Shenelle. Make sure you follow each other in the chat. Berry Mel Experience is live on Taco Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central, 6 p.m. Mountain, and 5 p.m. Pacific time. Berry Mother in the building. I see you, mamas. And she's got her water check Wednesdays, 7:15 p.m. Eastern, 6:15 p.m. Central, 5:15 p.m. Mountain, and 4:15 p.m. Pacific time. Make sure you're following Berry Mother as well. Let me ask this. What inspired the rewrite? Because we went from having surgery, we had all these things going on. Like, how did we get to where you are now in this coaching space?
Yeah, this was totally accidental. It's a $1 million question, man, because I came on social media in December 2022, and I just made the same little shit TikToks a lot of us did at the beginning, thinking a bunch of people give a shit about what we're doing at 8 months post. Anyhow, but I actually started talking about food addiction because that was about the time that I recognized that this was far deeper for me. And in March of 2023, somebody was like, "Do you think you could help me?" And I had no idea what that looked like. And I said, like, in what fashion? And she had just had surgery. And she was just like, I just need, like, daily assurance. And I paid for somebody in the bariatric coaching space. And I say that loosely because I don't think that tends to come with any definition. It's not like a real term. There's no, like, bariatric coaching certification. Like,
right. It's not regulated.
That's the way to say what it is, whatever you want to call it. But I paid $600 for somebody who had, you know, almost 20 years post-op. I never talked to them. I cashed out the money and I was messaged some macros and thrown into a Facebook group chat with 1,200, or Facebook group page with 1,200 other people. And I was like, you have got to be kidding me. Like, that's really? And this woman was like, I just need help every day. I just need someone to talk to every day. And I was like, yeah, sure. And then within a couple of days, there was another one and then another one. And I started just doing it on top of another job I had. And by, I would say December of that year, I left my job. And then I was just doing this full time. And now there's actually 4 of us. Most people just think it's me here, but we have a team. There's 4 coaches total here. There's a bunch of other people who work on the back end. And we currently have about 125 daily clients in our intensive program. We have an incredibly large built-out community that they have access to for the rest of their life. So I think the missing piece is that people wanted to be heard and wanted to talk to somebody who's been there. Like, and also, you know, I come in with a little bit of a tough love approach that I think hits to some people. It's obviously not for everybody. But it just has worked. And this is now like a whole thing. And like, how the hell this happened, dude? Some things just happened and I don't know how they happened. And I would have I never in a million years, 2 years ago, would have said that this is what I do and that we help this many people and have had such recognition for it. So it's pretty cool. But that's how it happened. Just a little trip and fall. That's it. And here we are.
Listen, I love when those moments happen because it's not okay. So I believe in like the universe
Of
just like
course.
aligning things for us. So I would resonate with your story quite a bit. I lost my job last year in December, just before Christmas. Great timing. And so I felt while I was doing social media on the side, thank God I did that because that is not my main income, and you don't necessarily know where you're going to go. You just kind of go with the flow.
Yeah.
So I just want to encourage anyone who has anything on their heart to just like dabble in, go for it, because you just never know where the universe is going to take you and what
No.
direction things are going to go. I did take the quiz, and for those who are interested in finding out if they may potentially be a food addict, she has a phenomenal quiz on her link in bio. Mine was a 26 out of 45. So it's like, listen, you might be a food addict. You might want to pump chicken nuggets through your veins.
Yeah.
So like legit, please take it if you get a chance. It's very, very interesting because you really have to think like some of the habits that you have that you maybe don't speak aloud because there's some shame tied to it. I won't lie. Like when there was a question about have you ever hidden like that you ate something? I absolutely did that, and one time my husband found the wrappers under the pillow.
Yeah, we've done it, girl. We've all done it. That quiz is based off the Yale School Food Addiction Quiz, which
Okay.
is the YFAS, which is the standard for food addiction. I love to take those questions and replace them with alcohol because I think sometimes people can swallow those questions a little bit better when they see it that way.
Yeah.
Because food is the thing people will say, because food addiction is not recognized by DSM-5 yet, right? And it will be soon, but it'll go in as ultra processed food addiction when it does. And the thing people say is, well, you have to eat. Well, no shit. Thank you for the fucking fact check thing. But the type of food is what's interesting is the processing, right? And there is something called volume addiction, and we can talk about that in a second because that always blows people's mind when we talk about it. But from a typical ultra-processed food addiction, it's a type of food of salt, fat, and sugar combined in a particular way, right? Now, if I was to give you a bowl of sugar, you're not going to have it.
No.
If I give you a bowl of butter, no, right? But mixed together, it's a different thing. And if you think of all the substances that are addictive, they are all processed, right? Like if I give you some,
I thought of a cookie when you said
yeah, yes, exactly, because we got salt, sugar, fat, low flour, right? And we have a cookie. So it's that processing effect, that does it. And refined sugar is just so much more available than it was hundreds of years ago. Sugar used to be like this thing that you were rich and luxurious to get to. Now everybody can get it in mass quantity, But then there's volume addiction, which is like a subsidy of food addiction. And that is someone, and I think a lot of bariatric people, this hits home with them, but eating until full no matter what it is that they're eating. And the like long-term protocol or ways of living for volume addiction is probably going to be tracking everything and staying within a limitation. But Dr. Vera Tarman out of Canada, she's a food addiction specialist. She wrote a great book called Food Junkies. She's one of the only few people who talk about volume addiction. And her and I had a conversation a few months ago, and she's like, dude, a lot of people I work with don't relate to it, but in the bariatric community, it hits in a different way. This needing to eat until full, beyond full, this uncomfortableness is totally different.
I eat very fast. When you said that we're like very aware of ourselves, 100%. Like I know that I eat super fast. It's almost like I'm trying to beat the feeling of feeling full, and like that
Get more
is
in, right? Yeah.
Well, let me hurry up and eat this before I feel full.
Think about it in drinking, man. Like, some of these, like, I used to play this drinking game back in college where it was called a power hour, where you took a shot every hour for an hour. Like, that makes sense, right? Like, why would you just to get wasted super quick, right? To get that, like, hit super quick. And so it's all really the same. You're just trying to change the way you feel, right? That's all you're trying to do. And so there's something going on prior to ever us making these choices. when in our program, we look at our clients' logs every day. And when we're looking at their log, and I always use a crumble cookie as an example. Someone logs 1/8 of a crumble cookie. There's no point in me saying, like, don't you know what's in it? We know, right? But what led up to it? What was the feeling that overrode the logic, right? Were we bored? Were we stressed? Right? Were we sad? Were we angry? Were we happy? Was everybody else doing it? What exactly was leading up to it? Because that's the problem. It's not the crumble cookie itself, right? Yeah, we probably shouldn't be eating shit like that. But like that moment up there, if you don't solve that issue, you will repeat after weight loss surgery. You will rinse and repeat all the same things, right? And maybe they'll come in formations of sugar-free and some other bullshit, you know, but you got to come back to that point. Like, what is it you don't want to feel? For me, things I hate, like, there's two things I don't like feeling. Number one, boredom. I confuse boredom and serenity all the time. Like, I'm in a very normal relationship, and I don't know how that is normal. Like, I don't know it. You know what I mean? I'm all treated like idiots and chaotic shit. And I'm like, we haven't had a real serious fight. Should we be concerned? Like, no one's called the cops yet. Like, is this normal? You know? And in my sick mind, I'll want to, like, maybe we should fuck some shit up today. You know? It's not normal for me.
Let me start some shit. Let me stir the pot.
Exactly. So I hate boredom. I hate boredom, and I confuse that serenity is okay, right? And the second thing is I don't like loneliness, right? And those are my two biggest fears in life. And so how did they play out in my eating? Well, bored and lonely, food's always your friend. It's not going to talk back to me. It's not going to have an opinion. And I can do it very secretive. And I can keep a roof over my head. And I can keep my cars in the driveway from being repossessed, you know, and I don't end up in jail. It's like the smartest ability to change the way you feel from an addictive standpoint without as many consequences as the other one, right? And so it's harder because until you're like, you know, fucking Wawa for Taco Bell, like you don't really know how bad your life has gone. You're just like, I just have a little weight problem, or I have a little willpower problem, with whatever you package it into, you know? Yeah. But what is that feeling? You know, and when you start fact checking and catching it, that is when I think you can start making really good.
That is a lot of looking back at yourself, because I think a lot of us don't like to admit that it goes beyond the food, right?
Yeah.
I'm always very fascinated with trauma. I know, super exciting, but like I'm always like digging into trauma. What void are we trying to fill? How important is it? I know from the coaching standpoint, like coaches strategize. Coaches are more proactive, but I can't throw shade on the therapist. The therapists, they do their thing too. So how important was it either for you or for when you coach your clients for them to be connected with other resources or tools like therapy?
Yeah. So one of our coaches is a therapist, is a licensed. Nice. Yeah. But in the scope of work, we have her here, and we don't use her as a licensed therapist because then it puts us in all these legalities with how we operate. Does that make sense? So like she's a therapist in her day trade job, and here she's.
Let's be clear.
Yeah, here she's peer-to-peer support, right? Because I think that's important. I've done therapy myself. I do a lot of this work for me at this point was done through AA. I cannot dog therapists. You just gotta go one, and that is a little challenging sometimes. The therapist that I got early on sobriety, and I was like, I don't want to go to AA, and she's like, yeah, but why don't you just write your own 12-step program? I didn't even know what the 12 steps were at the time. But I was like, that makes sense. Let's Shenelle Anonymous. Let's get to it, you know? And that just feels like into my own ego and my own, like, I'm so special that I can write my own 12 steps, you know? Stupid shit like that, right? Stupid shit. So today, my recovery and my, like, trauma, and I've got some, you know, I've got some baggage. I've taken responsibility for it. Even if it's stuff that I didn't do, I take responsibility for how it affects my life today. You know? And I can get up and I can have a sob story, right? And if I let my sob story get a chair and tell it, then I'll green light behavior really quickly. Really, really quickly. And so I had to stop doing that shit. I did step 4 and 5 in Alcoholics Anonymous, and my sponsor pointed out some glaring character defects it really shaped the way I thought about everything. My mom is an addict, and I had a hard time. I blamed her for a lot of stuff, and she put me up when I was 11, and still very much part of my life. I held on to that for a long time. And my sponsor pointed something out to me that just really stuck with me. It was like, your mom put you somewhere. What did you do in 2019? You chose not to even have a kid because of you, right? So you really struggle with being sympathetic to your own kind, right? And it takes some hard pills like that. I don't know if I would have had a therapist that could have delivered it in that box from a woman with 17 years of sobriety who'd also gone through all my hardship. There's something special about that relatability. But as far as how we work with people, a lot of them have therapists. A lot of them already come to us with that stuff. We're a daily accountability program. So we're somebody you talk to every day. And I think that's something that I don't think that it's in their scope or do they want to do. I'm sure there's some that do it and it's an insane amount of money. we are not like a therapy program in that essence, but absolutely encourage people to seek all resources because it takes a village to actually change the whole life.
Yeah. Who's a good candidate for the rewrite and where would they kind of get their journey started with you?
So most people think that the best time to come to us is after food noise is back. My ideal client is someone before surgery. Those are our favorite people to work with. Some of our best stories is that. Because to build the confidence before the surgery, have you transition to eating clean before the surgery, start working through the bullshit before the surgery, build a confident person that goes on the operating room table, and off to the races we go, right? But most people are 18 months post-op. Food noise is back. And what is the definition of food noise? It's just back to the obsession of food. Thinking about it all the time. The next meal, what's it going to look like? Can I have this? I'm going to eat this. I'm going to graze. Things like that, right? They are either stalled out, never hit goal, or are starting to experience regain. And that's a traditional person we tend to see. About 60% of them. And we just flush out that, but we don't do it overnight because that also is like our protocol. Like when we want to lose weight, what do? We get sign up for the gym, right? We get the shoes, we gotta get the cute earbuds, right? Yeah. We gotta get the containers for all the great foods we're all of a sudden gonna be making, right? Like we start nesting for somebody who doesn't exist. Right. And so here, like we have our clients track their food for a few days so we can see where we're at. We can start there and start taking things out and bringing things in, right? And so it's not overnight, right? There is a bit of a detoxing that happens coming off sugar and artificial sweeteners. And it's not the best feeling, right? So like just to make everyone comfortable and cool, we work through that part and then put our lives back together. Because most of our program is a lifestyle program. Like 20% is about how to eat. The rest is how to address this up here.
Such a huge piece that doesn't get enough credit.
No, not at all. Not at all. And this idea of willpower or moderation, which never comes with any definition when I see it, right? Like right before I got on this video or came on here, I opened up my TikTok as one would. And the first video was just another creator, like eating McDonald's with the tag that I didn't have bariatric surgery to not eat the things I wanted. Mm-hmm. And of course, all the comments are like, same girl, same. And it's everybody under a year. And I just, moderation never gets a definition from people when they say it. Right. Mm-hmm. And so like without a definition, moderation for most people is like almost daily, almost daily. I forgot where I was going. But anyhow, back to what I was your question is how to find us. We have a Facebook group, the Bariatric Rewrite private group. It's a free Facebook group. There's like 7,500 people in it. We post a whole foods recipe every day with macros and stuff like that. That is mostly where I tell people to get introduced to us. Don't just jump into us. You need to come into our program and shut the door. I cannot drag you into this thing. You have to be in enough to want to change. You got to be willing to take direction, and you got to be willing to be held accountable when you don't want to be. And you have to text us because we're like the way it works is you can text us anytime. We need to hear from you at 9 p.m. when you're standing in that fucking pantry about to take down a jar of peanut butter, right? Because that's the only thing you got left in your house. Yeah, you got to be willing to be humble enough to ask for help, and that's also really hard for us Because we go through these great lengths of having surgery. And we feel like this should fix it all. And then, we become ashamed. And we become a little humiliated if the thing goes well afterwards, right? And so that's totally okay. Like Nikki here, she's one of our other coaches here. Hey, Nikki. That's the Bariatric Rewrite private group on Facebook. That's the best introduction. And then if you go to the link in the website, we created something called the Recipe Fix. It's a prompt built out in our language for ChatGPT that will teach you everything you need to know about eating whole foods without us. Wow. And so you just take it. I don't even know how to explain to you how it works, but it's probably one of the coolest things we've ever made, and people just who have it are speak volumes of it, of how cool it is, and it talks like me, and it's kind of cool. Yeah, so it'll solve the food problem. It'll solve the food problem, but that is the best place to find us and start hanging out. We do a free workshop like every 6 weeks as well, and our workshops are just on Zoom, and they're Q&A styled like this. So people come on camera and talk about what they have going on. We used to do like typical share the screen, go through stuff, but that's boring. We like to just hear from people, like meet them where they're at and solve the problem right there. So that is what we've been doing. So
I love that. You guys, make sure you tap in. The links are in the bio. Also, I want to just point out, because there are some folks who really swear by whatever. This is your journey, your body. If something works for you, then do what works for you. But if what you are doing currently is not giving you the outcomes that you were expecting from having the surgery, then you have to be honest with yourself and say, hey, what do I need to rewrite about what I'm doing?
There you go. Nice.
So if that is where you find yourself, it is okay to ask for help. It is okay to tap into those resources. We have Shenelle here, her team. They are wanting and willing to help you, but you have to be wanting and willing to help yourself first, because nothing works with other people's intentions for your life. You have to want to be able to put in the work yourself. And it's not easy, right? It's not, but it's not impossible, because if it was easy, then you wouldn't have this issue in the first place, right?
Exactly.
But being honest that it's worth it, right? Because at the end of the day, we only have this one body, this one life to live. And if that is something that you're very, very serious about, definitely connect, because I think it is really, really important to have a coach. A lot of us think we know what we're doing, and sometimes we really just don't have the information. You don't know what you don't know. So there is no shame in that. But you are responsible for what you do moving forward, and the decisions you make for yourself, and what kind of resources you tap into or don't, right? You don't do anything with the information, right? That's okay too. We're not young and you're young. Look, if you want to still drink your Profies.
What I tell people because I get the Profi thing a lot from people all the time. I questions about it all the time. And I just say, you're a science experiment, man.
Yeah.
Maybe for just 2 weeks to see what happens. Like,
yeah.
Weirder things, right? You and I used to take ingredients that are now used for meth when we were in high school, legally over counter, to lose weight, right? So.
No, you're right. You're right. 100%. And again, just, do your due diligence, reflect on what's going on with your body. Tracking is probably really, really important, so you can actually have some quantifiable evidence about what's happening with you. Moderation should have a number, because if you are going to be in moderation, sometimes I think I've been that person, right? Like, I'm the moderation person, but I know when I get in front of some bread, there's no moderation. So, but be very honest with yourself. But I think that is about it. We are getting down to the hour. I do want to just say thank you for joining me today. I wish, honestly, I should have made this a longer special, but I know that I know some folks got to get ready for work. We definitely will be revisiting this conversation if you're able or have the time, because there's so many questions. I had a list of questions. There's so many questions here that I didn't even touch on, but the hour goes by super quick here. So make sure you're tapping in with her. Also follow each other in the chat. You guys, we are back live next week, Sunday. We are going to have Dr. Clapp coming in, who is also always in, he's always got like the trolls for the things he says, but he's such a great guy. Like, I love Dr. Clapp. He's super cool.
Yeah.
He might have been at the ASMBS this week too, this past few weeks ago.
Yeah,
I'm
he
not too
was.
sure.
Yeah. We
Yeah,
saw him.
yeah.
We had a whole conversation. He's been on our community in the past as well. So he loves his TikTok.
He does. So make sure y'all tap in next week. We'll have him for another Q&A. This will be his fourth. So bring your questions. Shenelle, again, thank you so much. I can't close out without giving you guys a quick word of affirmation. So without further ado.
Oh, hold on. I set my sunglasses right over here. Hold on. I got them for you. I just have to grab them.
No, you're good. I have to push the hair back. And no wig today, guys. I put my wigs up for a little bit. But thank you.
I have them out.
There we go. Period. People throw shade on what shines, but when in doubt, good people, shine brighter. Somebody take a picture of us. The mods are always taking pictures. Yes. All right. Thank you, guys. Until next week, Sunday. Thanks, Shenelle. Have a great night on purpose.